Because we're supposed to be talking about David and Goliath. I know we went around the way. Okay. When the Bible states Goliath is a champion, it's talking about his doctrine. That man knew a lot of doctrines. The Philistines, in the story, the Philistines are on one side of the mountain and Israel is on another side of the mountain. So the mountain is a congregation spiritually. So this story is an allegory about something that will happen in the future, okay? The Most High telling you what's going to happen. All right? He telling you that these giants going to come in the latter days, which you seeing them. But y'all don't know what giants is. Y'all thinking giants talking about a man 3 stories tall. It ain't talking about that. But we going to get it. We're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 17. We're going to read from verse 1. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 1. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shochan, which belonged to Judah, and pitched before Shoco, and Azekah, and Ephes-dammim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. So it's letting you know that they on different sides, right? And the Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and the Israelites stood on a mountain on the other side. And there was a valley between them. All right? So it's telling you something. All right? The Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, so it's telling you in the future there's going to be people representing the Philistines on one side, a congregation, a mountain, and there's going to be Israel, it keeps using that word Israel, on the other side, and there's going to be a valley in between. You know it as the valley of decision. But nonetheless, let's keep reading. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. So he was real tall. And he had an helmet of brass upon his head. And he was armed with a coat of mail. Yeah, he had a coat of mail. And the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass and upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one bearing a shield went before him. So that's telling you he's a big, big, big man. Carnally. But that ain't necessarily what it's talking about spiritually. The part you supposed to get is the part underneath. We under spiritual covenant. It's telling you something. You better understand what it's saying spiritually. So let's find out about these giants. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6. So you can see it ain't talking about a 3-story man. It's talking about some of these men that y'all listening to right now. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, the daughters were born unto them. that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, daughters is doctrines, saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. They started mixing doctrines. Y'all see that? That's what it's talking about. And it ticked the Most High off. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Then it says, after they had mixed those doctrines, there were giants in the earth in those days. They became giants because they mixed the doctrine. That's what Goliath did. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children of them, so they kept creating new doctrines and followers of those doctrines. The same became mighty men. Goliath was a mighty man. He was powerful in that doctrine, which were of old men of renown. So now you got these men nowadays who have gone and mixed those doctrines and become mighty men. They mixing the doctrine of Moses with a side order of Jesus Christ. And they have become renowned. Men of renown. Mighty men. When it says that Goliath had all that stature, it's talking about renown. It's a play on words. Y'all got to get what this thing's saying. Spiritually, stature means renown. Carnally, stature means height. That's why when that particular prophet, the pornographic prophet, was trying to tell y'all about Esdras in 2nd Esdras, he started talking about weigh me the weight of fire and measure me the blast of wind. We don't know what that means because you carnal. There's two kinds of weigh. There's a weigh meaning physical weight, and then there's a weigh where you weigh importance. Fire is the word. How important is the Most High's word? It's so powerful it can break bones. That's how important it is. That's how you weigh fire. The blast of wind. Wind is a doctrine. Can you tell me how powerful the Most High's doctrine is? Y'all so carnal. Y'all can't even see what the Bible's saying. And y'all following these men. And y'all think y'all gonna get the kingdom. Oh, by the way, we 144,000. And y'all can't weigh fire or measure the blast of wind. Those men don't understand the Bible. They're telling you lies and they're making it up. But he told you the truth. We don't know how to weigh fire. I know you don't, because you carnal. Stop being carnal. We just read. James told you. Stop doing that carnal law. Y'all gonna be stupid if y'all do that carnal law. Keep following that pornographic prophet. He don't know nothing. He's making it up. He's Goliath. He's a man of renown because he mixed Moses' law with a side order of Jesus Christ. And y'all think he knows something. He's a man of renown now. He's a giant. Well, let's continue with the story. Let's go to Baruch, chapter 3. It's funny. It's funny how y'all put all y'all faith in these men, and these men don't know anything. Trust me, they watching right now, trying to figure out so they can get some understanding. Y'all ain't the only ones learning. Now, the Most High said give it freely. But now they done already said what they said. They said white folks can't get the kingdom. The Gentiles can't get the kingdom. He gonna keep some of them so they can be slaves. Elder Samuel gonna bring out that possession. Y'all gonna figure this out. It ain't talking about no slaves. Joint heirs. Y'all gonna figure it out. Stop listening to them lying men. Because you following them and you ain't following Christ. And you gonna pay. Just like they gonna pay. We're gonna go to Baruch, chapter 3, verse 24. So we can find out some more about these old giants. O Israel, how great is the house of God, and how large is the place of his possession. Great, and hath none end, high, and immeasurable. There were giants famous from the beginning, that were of so great stature, renown, and so expert in war, because they mixed them doctrines. Those did not the Lord choose, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them. Them people don't know nothing. They don't know how to weigh fire. Verse 28. But they were destroyed because they had no wisdom, and perished through their own foolishness. That's what's happening right now. They don't want to come and mess with the elders because they know what we know. Their doctrine is not good enough. That doctrine gonna die. Oh, it's gonna die. And they're gonna start running in a minute. Let's get these coverings. Y'all thinking he was wearing all of this armor and all that other stuff. Okay, again, we're not saying that Israel didn't go to war with the Philistines. All right? But the story is talking about something deeper than what chainmail and armor that Goliath had on. Okay? Let's go to Job 29, verse 14. So you can get what this covering about. Job 29, verse 14. I put on righteousness. Righteousness is a doctrine. And it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and a diadem, a crown. Y'all see that? Okay? When it starts talking about coverings, it's talking about doctrines. He had a lot of doctrines to defend himself with and as weapons against anybody that came up against him. The Most High telling you something that's going to happen in the future. Let's go to Romans 15 and 4 so you can always keep in mind, think spiritual, because he telling you something. Romans chapter 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. This should comfort you because we already knew it was going to happen because we have the understanding of what the book actually is saying. We knew the giants were supposed to come. We can explain who the giants are. Now you can see it because you got spiritual eyes now. The giants are the men of renown who got their renown by mixing that doctrine. That's right. And they have become giants. Now, it was talking about his sword. Let's go to Revelations 2 and 16. Revelation 2 and 16. So you can see what this sword is. Repent, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. Sword is words. Sword is words. So his words were a weapon. That's his sword. Sword is words. That's what it means spiritually. Isaiah 49 and verse 2. Isaiah chapter 49 verse 2. And he has made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In the quiver hath he hid me. Okay? Sword is words. My mouth like a sharp sword. Sword is words. It's telling you that Goliath is going to be able to use words as a weapon, just like he used them back in the Bible. All right? So let's go forward with a little bit more of the story. Let's go back to 1 Samuel 17. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 8. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants of Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me, and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. So up until this point, Goliath is making some statements. Just like these Goliaths making statements. They coming through, they knocking down doctrines. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. So he's got Saul and the men of Israel terrified. But when he's talking about killing somebody, he's talking about converting them to his doctrine. I get it. We went to war and they killed people in battle. But now it's spiritual. So this Goliath in the latter days is going to convert people. Remember, we read Romans 6, 1 through 6. To kill, to die. It's talking about convert. That's what it means spiritually. I read it to you. Romans 6, verse 1 through 6. Kill means convert. So let's go to verse 11. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. See, this is the thing about Saul. Saul was weak. Saul's doctrine was weak. And he being the king, his doctrine was what everybody else got taught. So they were afraid. So that's showing you there's a lot of righteous people out here, right? But they're looking at these renowned people and they're going to be afraid to go up against them because their doctrine's so strong and their doctrine weak. All right? But Saul was anointed just like he was anointed just like David was anointed. But Saul's doctrine that he got, he didn't build upon his doctrine to have a strong doctrine. All right? So now, and I can show you that in 1 Samuel 9. We'll go there right quick.